Welcome to Legal Matters, brought to you by Justice and Law Solicitors, Unit 35B, 49 Efra Road, Brixton, London, SW2 1BZ. As soon as you join us, you share the program for us.
Firelight Radio, ajak dem. Firelight Radio, ajak dem. Firelight Radio, ajak dem.
As soon as you join us, you share the program for us. This is Legal Matters, brought to you by Justice and Law Solicitors, right through Firelight Radio, David Daku Facebook page, Firelight Radio first page. Share till you can share no more. Firelight Radio, and your Oja.
Firelight Radio, ajak dem. Firelight Radio, ajak dem.
Good morning to you, Papa Kwame. What do we have for you today? Zambrano update and further challenge and the dilemma for all those who still have pending applications under the principles of Zambrano. Stay tuned, share the program to all your loved ones because it's going to be a blast. Yes, brought to you by Justice and Law Solicitors. Share your program for us. Baby celebration, good morning to you. Abina Dadzi, Mr. Alexander Profos, good morning to you all. And thank you for tuning in. Share the program for us. Let's give thanks and praises to the Lord Almighty for protecting us, for the gift of life. Times like this, you just have to thank your Jehovah. That's right. program for us. Pastor Pat. Greetings to you this morning.
Firelight Radio, I jack them. 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 Firelight Radio, I jack them.
Jack them live. What do we have for you today? Today we are going to be looking at Zambrano, an update and further challenge at the Court of Appeal. And this is a case that is going to go through to the Supreme Court. There were no doubt about that. And today I will take my time and go through with you and also give you practical advice, because I have had people contacting me. Their applications for Zambrano has been refused, and there is more to come, no doubt about that, because we sat on here and we told people that unfortunately the Zambrano application that people have made is likely that it's going to be refused if the Home Office have not already accepted that you are a Zambrano carer. Some people thought it was a joke, and now the implication, now the problems are just coming thick and thin and fast. A lot of people are now receiving refusals on the basis, which I will go into details as soon as we start the program. Personally, I saw that coming, and I did advise a lot of people not to do it. You know, not to do Zambrano application, especially those who had limited leave to remain. We will look at that today. We will also be looking at statement of changes to Appendix EU of the immigration rules. New changes that has come up since June, which is coming into effect on 9th of November. We will be looking at that as well. Someone asked me a question over the last few days, and the person's question was, though we have come out of the European Union, can a family member of an European Union still apply under the settlement scheme and the pre-settlement scheme? We'll be looking at that. The answer that I gave to the person was that it depends. Why did I give that answer? Because if you say a family member, what do you mean? And if you say, can they apply, what do you mean? So therefore, the answer was it depends. But today, I will take my time and then go through with you. So if you know someone who may qualify, then by all means, of course, you can tell the person to do what? To then make a move and call justice and law solicitors and book an appointment, rather than standing on the phone and expecting us to give you the advice for free. And after that, you say, sorry, I cannot come to you. I'm going to go somewhere else. We are a business entity. Some people have tried to play fast one with us, and some people continue to play some fast one with us. And sometimes when they don't get their way, it becomes an issue. And strikingly, today I will give a very typical example. How sometimes people try to play mind games with us when things go wrong, and they still come back to us, and the excuses that sometimes they tend to give. We find it a bit funny, but then again, it's human nature. People will try any means to get it for free. Why wouldn't they? So we will look at that as well. And we will give general immigration update. But before we start the program, all those sharing the program, we thank you very much for your reaction and also for sharing. Kwaku Zigzagging, good morning to you and the family. I hope that they are all doing well by the Spirit of the Most High. Now, we will be starting the program shortly. Let's do the best that we can and also share the program so that it will make my life easy as well as will benefit others. Like I always say many a times, when the show is over, that is where people will start calling you and asking the same sort of questions about the very stuff that you have talked about. And sometimes it can be a bit annoying, to be honest with you. So for me, if you share it, you are doing me a favor, and it will also help people so that the after show telephone calls also reduces. Because these days, as soon as we finish the show, I try not to take the phone calls because I've got other stuff that I also have to move on to. If not, I will spend all my Saturdays doing the show and redoing it all over again. Things like that stop us from doing more research into other areas, which will also be beneficial, can also benefit others. So let's do the best that we can to support each other, to support ourselves, and to be able to have enough time to do more research and bring you more legal matters every Saturday. So we thank you very much for your continued support as well. Before I start the program, yesterday I was at a place, and this is just by the way, and I think it's something that a lot of people in the diaspora are facing these challenges. I overheard this guy on the phone, very angry and very emotional. What is this about? So-called project. His boy is land, he's doing his project, and the person that sold the land to him has also basically got people to come and frustrate him. That is exactly what is happening. Because I think he's also sold the land to someone else. So as soon as he started his project, the same person, underground, indirectly, has also sent in troops. In Ghana, they call land gas, to come and frustrate him and to disturb him. Knowing that if you are at abroad, it's very difficult to take someone on who is on the ground. So this guy is on the phone fuming. I could not believe what I was saying and what I was hearing. He was literally in tears. And I don't know what he would have done if he was actually in Ghana at the time. But, things happen for a reason. And I thank God that he wasn't there, because I could see him picking up a machete or a gun or a cutlass, to basically do some damage, because he was at the edge, and I could see in his eyes that he was fuming. When I say fuming, he was ready for destruction. So he was just talking, shouting, and it's a place that he shouldn't be shouting. But he was so angry, he did not even realize that where he was a place that, and the language that he was using, he should not be using those languages. But I can understand his frustration, because when someone is trying to take liberties out of you, sometimes, if you're not careful, you would go to the level that you would not normally go to. And he was all over the place, very angry, words that he was using and what he was trying to get people to do, So I took him to one side, and I tried to explain to him, when people want to take the law on, into their hands and mess about, this is the time that you also have to keep cool and start thinking rather than reacting. You see, If you react, you might end up reacting the wrong way. But times like this, it's important that you start thinking. So brother, just think and look for solutions. And personally, as a lawyer, I've also seen a business opportunity where I am in the process of linking up with a few law firms. We are starting from 3 different places, from the Greater Accra region, from the Greater Ashanti region, and then the Bro Ahafo region. Last night, I made about 4 phone calls. And this is an early stage where people that have land disputes in Ghana, they will contact me in the UK. If they are in the UK, they will contact justice and law solicitors, and then we can then link them up with, good lawyers in Ghana who will be able to apply for quick injunction, especially if you're doing a project and someone deliberately trying to frustrate you. Ghana is a place that unfortunately some people are starving. If you promise them £1, believe in me, they will do your dirty work for you. But we also have to use the law to our advantage. Don't let any person manipulate you in any way. So all that I will say to our brothers and friends in diaspora, we are working so hard to find solutions to your problems. And believe in me, and I'm hoping that with the initiatives that we are starting, we will be able to, link up with some serious law firms, some serious lawyers in Ghana who will be able to come to your rescue, especially when it comes to land dispute and that double dealing and the double selling by crooks who do not have any morality, no morals. They will do anything for money. And unfortunately, you're also going to have some people over there who knows what is right, but because of their belly, they will do whatever they need to do to fill their belly. The same people will go and sit in a church every Sunday and pray to the Lord Almighty for the forgiveness of their sins and hope that they make it to paradise. What happens to the 10 commandments? Love your neighbor as yourself. Do not steal. Do not bear false witness. All this goes into the bin, into the gutters, because they have sold their soul for a piece of paper. I will not be the judge, and if there is ever a place called heaven, believe in me, some people will suffer on this earth before they make it to hell. Be good, play right, and be just. Have clear conscience. I always believe that the church, the building, is just a building. The church is your heart. And I say, if you have a clear conscience and a good heart, through his mercies, you can make it to paradise if there is one. So we are working hard to look for solutions to your problems. So our brothers in the diaspora, we've got your back, and we are looking for solutions. Because past 2 weeks, when we did the program about appointing a power of attorney, someone to stand in for you in Ghana in terms of land disputes, the number of telephone calls that we have had and the number of people who have approached me is astonishing. It's unbelievable. And that program that we did, it has reached over 5,000 people, because this suggests to me that it's a big problem in Ghana and people are suffering in silence, all because of their geographical position. So last 2 weeks was just to give you an idea. And for me, if you buy a land, straight away within few minutes, seconds, construct something, put a structure on the land. It does not matter. Sometimes people think that it's a waste of money, it's a waste of blocks. Because if you don't spend that money to put up the structure, believe in me, you are going to spend a lot of money in litigation. Do it, get someone to stay there, for the time being. Or get someone to be going there to be checking on the land almost every week. So that if there is an activity, then you can then take a quick action. And I will also say this. If you are going to buy a land, make sure that the land is registered. Because if you buy a registered land, all this malarkey and palaver and all this ridiculousness, it reduces. So I beg you, these are tips that I'm giving for free. And if you take it and you implement it, I believe that it will save you a lot of headache, if that is the route. If that is not the case and you want ready-made, then of course you have to get in touch with Paradise City, who are, home builders in Ghana and, litigation-free land. They can also sort you out. So enough of that. Let's go to the main topic of today. Also, let's look at a bit of highlight in terms of immigration law this week. And after that, we go to the main topic about Zambrano carers update and further appeal that is likely to come up. So we need to be aware of that. Let's go and start today's program, and then let's see what we can do, what we can bring your way. Now, let's look at the update. Okay. This week, the court has made a decision about something called differential treatment in the UK immigration system. And when we talk about differential treatment, what do we mean by that? We mean victims of domestic violence. Victims of domestic violence. Under immigration law, if you are a victim of domestic violence, you can apply for indefinite leave to remain. However, if you are outside of the United Kingdom, you cannot apply for indefinite leave to remain or indefinite leave to enter. That means there is a gap within the law. When I say there is a gap within the law, what do I mean? I mean there is a gap in the sense that if, for example, you are married to someone with indefinite leave to remain, or someone with British passport, and you are in the United Kingdom, and for one reason or the other, you are a victim of domestic violence, under the immigration law, you could apply for indefinite leave to remain as a victim of domestic violence. And when we talk about victim of domestic violence, Home Office have described victim of domestic violence not only as in physical format, i.e. someone literally beating you up, but where you have also been deprived of maybe economic reasons. You have been denied for materialistic stuff. You could also be a victim where there is or there has been verbal abuse, all sorts of abuse, whether physical, economical, psychological, any call that you can think of. If it applies, then of course you could also come under this category of being a victim of domestic violence. Justice and law solicitors, we have helped a lot of people who were in this situation to get their indefinite leave to remain, even though they have been in the UK in some cases for 1 year, where there was a brutality, sexual exploitation, you know, and we have these people to get their indefinite. So, whilst you are in the United Kingdom, the law makes provisions. There was no such provisions for those who have been tricked to go outside the United Kingdom. So this is a very typical case where the complainant, a lady who was married to an Asian man, and after having children with the man persuaded her that they should go back. It's either Pakistan or India, I cannot remember exact country. Persuaded the lady that they should go back to Asia. When they went there, what she then did is to make sure that they stayed there for a 2.5 years visa to expire. And then when it expired, the man simply left the woman to rot in that country. Now, by looking at the immigration rules, there is no provision for victims of domestic violence to apply from outside the United Kingdom. And therefore, this became an issue. Whilst there was no law giving such a person the right to return to the UK or the right of indefinite leave by virtue of geography, because they were outside the United Kingdom. This woman said, no, this is unfair and it's unjust. There is a vacuum, there is a gap within the law. So hold and behold, he took the case to court. And this week, the court has made a decision that victims of domestic violence who are now stuck outside the United Kingdom could apply for indefinite leave to enter. So this is a good news for those people who have been tricked outside the United Kingdom, who are also victims of domestic violence. Now, this is a good news for you. If you have been tricked to go outside the United Kingdom, your visa has expired, or in some cases, their status have been seized by their abused partners. I use the word partner here because I have also seen some men being a victim of domestic violence. Birthday girl, I greet you. Good morning to you, Madam Kate Owusuwa Donko. Happy birthday to you once again. May the Lord Almighty continue to bless you and more anointing be upon you. So, victims of domestic violence, now there is a hope for you. Home Office have indirectly accepted that will be the case. So we are expecting that there is going to be a change in the law, where victims of domestic violence, either be men or women who are trapped outside the United Kingdom, will now be able to make an application to come back in and stay in the United Kingdom permanently on the basis of being a victim of domestic violence. So that is what we have for you. Secondly, the use of CVP in a foreign country. CVP is video evidence. As we know, since COVID-19, the United Kingdom, we have introduced or we have enhanced the use of video evidence, where now you can give evidence through video if you are in the United Kingdom, and before a hearing, the court will send adjoining instructions where you could simply join a hearing. The question has always been that if you are outside the United Kingdom, then what would you do? Can you still join and give evidence? In most immigration cases, some people will really want to join and give evidence from outside the United Kingdom. But the rule is that you will need a permission from the country that you are at. So if, for example, you've been deported to Ghana and you have appealed against your decision and the case is before the court and you want to give evidence, you will need permission from the Ghanaian authorities in order that you could join the hearing. So that is how it is, in order that you could join the hearing. But the reality is that places like Ghana, where are you going to get a permission from? And the difficulties associated in getting these permissions. Let's assume, for example, someone has applied for an asylum and the person is from maybe Iraq or Iran, and the person has been removed from the United Kingdom. And the person is claiming, for example, that the Iranian authorities want to kill him. And in such a case, how can such a person can then go to the Iranian authorities and say that I need permission to go to court by video to the UK authorities and give evidence about my asylum? There are practical challenges, and also it could actually put some people at risk, depending what is the issue. So there are practical challenges and difficulties, and therefore it was suggested in such cases then there should not be a requirement for individuals to contact their authorities in order to give evidence. However, this week, a German court has made a ruling that they will not even allow people to rely on video evidence from another country, which the UK is likely to stick to their grounds as well. It was hoping that if the German court allows individuals to give evidence through video, it will be a bit of an improvement where people will be able to use video evidence and to give video evidence in court, even if they are in another country. But unfortunately, this will probably not be the case. Also this week, a new independent complaint investigation services to counter Home Office responses to complaints has been launched. A new independent complaint investigation services. Because before this, whenever you make a complaint about the Home Office, it was the Home Office who will investigate it. And from my experience, I would say 8 out of 9, they will simply come back to say that they are not holding the investigation because the case is still pending and they are doing everything that they can to resolve your matter. But now, a new independent complaint investigation services has been launched. And whenever there's a complaint, they'll probably be looking at it rather than the Home Office itself. Because if you are independent, there is a strong belief that you can be a bit more fair. I'm not justifying, I'm not saying that, when it was internal, it was not fair, but all that I'm saying is when it comes to oversight, it is always important that you have someone from outside and look from afar, and the person will then be able to perhaps, make a better call or a better judgment. That is what I'm saying. So a new independent complaint investigation service has been set up, and they will then be examining complaints about the Home Office, and also the Independent Chief Inspector of Borders and Immigration, David Neal, has also published a report, and he has criticized the Home Office of the use of hostels to house unaccompanied asylum-seeking children, i.e., those places, as far as he is concerned, they are not a good place for those children. I mean, you can imagine, asylum seeker, you come to a new country at the age of 16 and you've been put in a hostel. We all know what goes on in a hostel. You don't have your mommy, you don't have your daddy. Basically, you don't have anyone to offer you maybe certain types of support that you may need. And someone as asylum seeker, you may need someone to talk to, you see. And if there's no one to talk to, it can affect your mental health as well. So it's important that we keep ourselves up to date when it comes to immigration and nationality. Okay, so we've got this covered. Now, let's look at what we have for you today. One of the questions that people have posed to me this week is in relation to the English test certificate and whether you can reuse it for future applications. It's a bit difficult because I have had experience with the Home Office. One case was a good experience. One case was not so good experience. And only about a week ago, I also had another experience with the Home Office. It all relates to the English test and the life in the UK test. When I am, whenever I'm talking, I try my best to give examples because I believe that examples sometimes is a best way of explaining a scenario. And sometimes I tend to rely on historical evidence as well. I love history because it helps us to understand the future. So I will use 3 cases that I have been involved in to explain about this English test requirement and what is it that you need to do. So I will look at that today. And I will also read the guidance notes to you and see whether you understand it. Because the more you read it, the more you get confused. So don't be surprised that the caseworkers are confused. Sometimes lawyers are confused. And sometimes people ask me, and I always play safe. I would rather my client is safe and not stressed through the process than to gamble and take a risk, and then the client becomes stressed, which can be avoided. So for me, I always try to take the preventative action rather than to take a risk where the client will call back and basically start, panicking and all that. I do the best that I can all the time to avoid it. So now, let's look at this. I'm going to read this to you. And then after I finish reading it, then I will give the examples. This is in relation to the English test. And let's listen to this very, very carefully because I'm going to read it. Maybe I am confused. Maybe you can correct me. Evidence of English language requirement. This is Rule 27. The evidence required of passing an English language test in speaking and listening, into brackets, at a minimum of level A1 or A2, as the case may be, bracket close, of the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, with a provider approved by the Secretary of State, where the applicant relies on that pass to meet an English language requirement, is confirmation on the line verification system operated by an approved English language test provider and at an approved secured English language test center that the applicant has passed such a test and that the test was an English language test in speaking and listening, which is approved by the Secretary of State and was taken no more than 2 years before the date of the application, and at a test center approved by the Secretary of State as a secured English language test center, or if they have already shown they met the requirement in this manner at the level required for their current application in a previous successful application for entry clearance or permission to stay. Let's summarize this and let's go down to basic English. From my understanding, under Rule 27, all this gibberish, all these jargons, all the stuff that I have read, my summary is this. If you have taken a test at an approved test center under A1 or A2 or any other test to meet the English test requirement, and it has been taken more than 2 years ago, then initially you cannot use it. However, if you use it within the 2 years, and in the future you are making further application, since it has already been accepted in the past, then you could use the same English test for future applications. That is my understanding of this under Rule 27. For me, it's very, very clear. And this is the key. Let's look at the last bit. What it says is this. The Secretary of State, okay, it says that the test was an English test in speaking and listening, which is approved by the Secretary of State and was taken no more than 2 years before the date of the application. So this part, the test must not be taken more than 2 years before you can use it. So it should be within 2 years. And at the test center approved by the Secretary of State as a secured English language test center. The second bit, or, you see the key. When we say or, it means this or that. That means you can satisfy this requirement. If you cannot satisfy this requirement, then you can satisfy this requirement. So when we use the word or, you have a choice. Rely on part A or rely on part B. So let's look at the part B of the same test. Or if they have already shown they met the requirement in this manner at the level required for their current application in a previous successful application for entry clearance or permission to stay. This is the key. So therefore, the second part of the test, the second part of the requirement under Rule 27 clearly states, if you have passed the English test and you have used the same test certificate in past application, then if you are making future application, despite the fact that it's more than 2 years, you can still use it. That is what Rule 27 says. Now, let's go and look at Rule 32D. This is where the confusion comes in. Sometimes the law is just like the Bible. Controversies, they are in the Bible. The same thing can also apply in law. Sometimes there are controversies in law. Let's look at the English test certificate and Rule 32D. I'm going to read it and we will break it down. You are not going to get this anywhere but through Fire Life Radio and Justice and Law Solicitors. So now, let's look at the D and see what we can get.
Fire Life Radio, ajak dem.
So now, let's look at the D. 32D of the immigration rules. Let's read it and see what it says. Rule 32D. And I'm going to read, and it reads as follows. If an applicant applying for limited leave to enter or remain under Part 8 or Appendix FM submits an English test certificate or results, and the Home Office has already accepted it as part of a successful previous partner or parent application, into brackets, but not where the application was refused, even if on grounds other than the English language requirement, the decision maker will accept that certificate or result as valid if it is A, from a provider which is no longer approved. Let's listen to this. Even if it's coming from a provider who is no longer approved, or from B, from a provider who remains approved, but the test the applicant has taken with that provider is no longer approved, or from a test center which is no longer approved, or D, past its validity date if the date is required, provided that it is at or above the requisite level of the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, and when the subsequent application is made, the award to the applicant does not fall within the circumstances set out at 32B of this appendix. Now, this is also making it clear that they will accept it if certain provisions or if certain conditions can be met. Even if the provider of the English test certificate is no longer in business, as long as when the test was taken, they were in business, they were approved, then you can reuse your English test certificate. So that has been the understanding of most lawyers or some lawyers. Now, let's look at the practical side of it. I have been involved in a very, very heated argument with Home Office about this. And in one case, in the end, my client had to go and resit the exams. Why? Because the caseworker was threatening that if we do not provide a valid English test certificate within 14 days, they are going to refuse the application. I knew that I was right, but sometimes being right will not give you peace of mind, if you know what I mean. Sometimes you are right, but you will still have to do whatever you need to do to get to Canaan. And therefore, in this particular case, I had to put it to my client and said that, look, legally, we have a case. Legally, we are right. So we have a choice of continuing to argue with the Home Office by relying on Rule 27 and 32D, or simply go and pay £150, do the test because it's not a difficult test, get the certificate within 14 days. Let me give it to the caseworker, you get your indefinite problem solved. Or we argue the person will make a mistake, refuse the application, we go to court, win the case, go back to them for them to issue you your visa. When we go to court, I will also have to charge for further, for extra work that I will do for you. And for that reason, I will say that, perhaps because of the stress involved, because of the cost involved, if I was you, I know that, you are right, but just do the test so that you get your papers and you have your peace of mind. The client agreed. That lawyer Darko, thank you very much for the sound advice. I am simply going to do exactly what you've told me to do. And as a result, she went and did the test within 5 days. We presented it, and as I speak to you, she is now British. She's got an indefinite and she has applied for British citizenship. So sometimes it's not about being right. Sometimes it's also taking into account the time wasting, the economics of it, and then your mindset and also your well-being. Sometimes you are right. Yes, you can go to court. Some people just want their name to be in the court books. Some people want to set record for their name to go into law books. And therefore, for the privilege of it, will take them on. But sometimes too, you need to look at economics. You need to look at money. And then make the practical decision not to fight unnecessary fights. So this is what this client chose to do. And on another case, once again, the client was asked that the test that he's done is more than 2 years. And therefore, he should not, he cannot rely on that. Meanwhile, the same test certificate was used in the previous application, which was accepted by the Home Office. And Rule 27 makes it very clear. If it has been accepted in the past, then the Home Office must accept it. The Secretary of State must accept it. Once again, Home Office came back to say that no, they will not accept it. It's more than 2 years ago. So I went back, I pulled out Rule 27 and 32D. And I said, Mister, I beg to differ. It's very, very important. You are fighting against D to the power of 2. We don't go on one power. We go on 2 powers. So Justice and Law Solicitors, Lawyer David Darko, D to the power of 2. I said, no way. We are going to use 2 grounds to fight you. So when I say D to the power of 2, that is what I meant. My name is David Darko, double D, D to the power of 2. So when we are fighting, we fight on the ground and we also fight from the top. So we quoted Rule 27, 32D. And we said, look, Rule 27 makes it very, very clear that since he has used the same test certificate in the past, which has been accepted, notwithstanding the fact that the test certificate is more than 2 years ago, the rule is that you must accept it. So that is what we argued. The caseworker, hold and behold, saw it and saw the mistake that he was about to make. And the caseworker simply granted the application. And the last one that I have had, and everyone is going to laugh. I will not mention name because of confidentiality, but we can use cases as examples for educational purposes. So if you are watching me and you know that this is you, I beg, forgive me, but it's important that we use real life examples to educate our people. Once again, if you look at the rules, the English test requirement and the life in the UK requirement. If you are under the age of 18, 18, do watch it. if you are under that age, you don't have to do the test. You are exempted. You can ask for exemption. And if you are over 65, once again, you can ask for exemption. You don't have to do the test. Praise the Lord. And this is a case that I submitted an application for someone who is over the age of 65. I don't want to mention the age. And it's also a very, very good case for variation. And today it's important that I mention it because some of us may perhaps benefit from this as well. So let me speak also about variation. And then I will look at the example that I was going to give. Or perhaps let me give the example first and go to variation. This person is over 65 years of age, and I submitted an application for further leave to remain for this person in December 2021. And her 10 years of lawful residence under paragraph 276B of the immigration rules would have been up in March 2022. So there was this nagging confusion in my head as a lawyer, you see. Because when the visa was up in December, the rule is that the 10 years lawful residency wasn't up. And as a result, I could not apply for indefinite leave to remain for this individual. Because at the point of the application, she has not acquired 10 years lawful residence in the United Kingdom. And therefore, if I apply for indefinite leave, Home Office would refuse the application. Because at the time of the application, the person is expected to be in the UK lawfully for 10 years. She was only about 3 months short. And therefore, I had to play safe and apply for an extension. So in December, I applied for this extension. And I was hoping and praying that the Home Office do not make a decision until or after the 10 years is up. In fact, I was praying that they will not make a decision until her 10 years is up, so that I can then make the application for indefinite leave to remain and vary the existing application so that I can request for a refund for the application that they have not made a decision. Double D to the power of 2. So, what I did was to be, this is something that they will not teach you at law school. This is Ashtown law. This will not be taught in a law school. But this is Ashtown law, where you have to be straight. You have to go on the street. It's called street law, street sense. Where you need to apply home sense, if you answer. So, I set the thing up. And the application was applied in December. And all that I was doing was praying the Lord Almighty God, I do not wish for the Secretary of State to make a decision on or before March 2022. In fact, it is my praise that they don't make a decision at all. So that when it comes to March, I can then put in an application for indefinite leave to remain and then request for the existing application to be upgraded or to be varied so that they will consider the application for the indefinite leave to remain. So that I can then go back and apply for fee refund and NHS refund for the application that they did not make a decision. So that at least my client can get some money back. So it was set up, I explained it to the client from the beginning, we come to an agreement. And Lawyer Darko, as the executioner of law, we executed it perfectly. So we put the application for extension in December. Come March, there is no decision from the Home Office. And why I say, if there is no decision, then of course we can then move on and do what? And do application for indefinite.
Fire Live Radio, Ajak them.
So that is exactly what I did. So as soon as the match was up, as soon as the 10 years was up, we submitted further application, this time by way of indefinite leave to remain. The drama wasn't over. I'm sitting there waiting for a decision to come through. About a week ago, I received an email from the Home Office. And once again, a threat letter that I have applied for indefinite leave to remain for my client. Unfortunately, I did not provide I did not provide the English test certificate, and neither did I provided the Life in the UK test certificate. And since I have not provided this evidence, the caseworker is giving me 2 weeks to provide this evidence. If not, the application will be refused. I look at the decision, I look at the letter, and I ask myself, this is interesting. This person is over 65 years of age, and therefore by definition qualifies, is exempted from taking the English test, is exempted from taking the Life in the UK test. And if this is the only reason that you want to refuse the application, then I'm going to take you on. So what I then did was to go through the Home Office guidance notes to caseworkers. And I had to print the relevant part, scan it, highlight it to the caseworker. And I went back and I said, my dear caseworker, following your email of such and such a date, I am surprised about the content of the same. I will refer you to the published guidance to the caseworkers issued in August 2022, page 50, whatever it was, and it read as follows. Those exempted from taking the English test and the Life in the UK test, those under the age of 18, those over the age of 65, which my client is over the age of 65, just in case you have not realized, she is 81 years of age. How do you expect her to go and sit Life in the UK test and the English test? And another set of group who are also exempted are those with medical issues, medical grounds. If you have a very good doctor to give you the medical exemption, you can also apply for exemption. But it better be good if the Home Office will simply reject it. So here I am. I went back to the caseworker and I said, look, you are wrong. You're going to have to grant my client indefinite leave to remain on the basis that she's 81-year-old. She is exempted from taking the Life in the UK test and the English test. And I don't wish for you to make a mistake, for this case to end up in court where you are going to cause unnecessary stress to my client as well as financial stress to my client. Because when the case goes to court, my client will have to pay me extra money to go through the court process. But this will not be good for the Secretary of State and its decision-making process. It will not look good on you, the caseworker. So why don't you look at the rules and do the right thing? Hold and behold, within a week, last Friday, the person came back and granted my client indefinite leave to remain. Sometimes people think Home Office don't make mistakes. They are human beings. They also make a mistake. You know, now I also have one case which is also a bit ridiculous. That the person applied for indefinite leave to remain, They refused the person. We went to court. Appeal was allowed on the basis that the person applied for indefinite leave to remain. When they issued a visa, they have issued another 5 years, limited leave to remain. It's one of those things. Whilst the client may be disappointed about sometimes some of the mistakes that the Secretary of State may make, we should also understand that it's not everything that you have to blame the lawyer for, because the lawyer doesn't put the visa in your passport. So if the Secretary of State by mistake put it limited leave as opposed to indefinite leave, cases like that, you need to work with your lawyer to find a solution. Why am I saying this? I'm very lucky and I'm very, very privileged in so many different ways, because our lawyer clients, they work with me. No doubt about that. And I've been very, very lucky to get very good clients. I would say 99% of my clients, they are very, very good. They've been very, very good to me. And the number of people that they hold their hands to come through the doors of justice and law solicitors, sometimes it baffles me. And, you know, you look at someone like Kweku zigzagging, where he lives, he stopped everything that he's doing, hold people's hand and bring them to justice and law solicitors. Sometimes people may wonder, have I bribed him? Do I give him money? I don't give him nothing. I haven't bribed him, but he's doing it from his heart. You know, so people like that, if I'm sleeping and I see they call me, what do you think I'm going to do? I will pick their phone calls, no matter what. Because when someone show you love, when someone show you care, when someone, you know, support what you do 100%, how can you betray such a person? You know, so sometimes, you know, some people say, wow, this person called you and you pick. Why? Because we have different types of relationship with different people. You know, and some people, unfortunately, you can only accept their phone calls during your office hours. And there are certain people, even outside your office hours, you know, you are bound by morality to pick up their phone calls. Because they will simply not ring you and disturb you for no reason. They will call you for a purpose. And talking about that, and there are people who will take a biscuit. Every opportunity, they just want to ring you and waste your time. And these people, we identify them in different ways. Typical example is those people who will call you once, they won't get you, and there are some people who will not call you at all. They will take their case to somewhere, and then when they mess up, they will then ring you and try to use their intelligence on you. What they will say is that, oh, I called you, your guys didn't want me to talk to you, they refused for me to talk to you, and as a result, I got fed up and I went somewhere else, but the case has been messed up, and I'm calling you back to see if you can help. All well and good, I understand that. But the question that I keep asking myself is this: you were not patient enough to wait and get me, but you were able to go somewhere else. Now that it has messed up, why do you now have patience to call me back and make sure that you get me and for you to come and for me to help you? It's something that baffles me all the time. And when people raise that argument, personally, I don't buy it. It's just an excuse. Because if you want something bad, you will push until you get it. Mr. Kweku is zigzagging, never give up. When he calls, he doesn't get me, he will send an audio, he will send a text. As soon as I see it, I call him back and we finalize the deal. So if you really, really want to come to us, and even if you call and I am engaged, you leave a message or you book appointment with the secretary. So the excuse that, oh, I was coming to you and I couldn't come to you and someone forced me to go somewhere, I've messed up, and all of a sudden you have the patience to come back and you are trying to give an excuse for me to feel bad, it doesn't wash with me. For me, I see that as an excuse and also an attempt to cover the embarrassment of coming back. But then again, I'm a businessman. I'm not going to say no. The prodigal children, you come back. We will do the best that we can for you. But yeah, we're going to charge. Because many times people will come back and they try to plead. Oh, when I went there, I've spent so much money and oh, please reduce your price. you were happy to pay there for them to mess you up. And if you come to me for me to correct it for you, you want a bargain. Oh, please. Those people who try to play that mind games, I ask that you stop, because it's not nice to come and play with my intelligence. So let's be straight with each other, and when we mess up and we come back, we also have to be prepared to pay, because it's all the same. We all have to make a living. So that's what I would say in terms of the English test requirement. As you can see, there is a confusion at the Home Office at the best of times, and sometimes they can raise certain questions that does not make sense in law. And because of this discrepancy, and because of sometimes these difficulties that we face as lawyers, and sometimes the unnecessary stress that they can impose on our clients, I have always taken the view, for your peace of mind, the English test, it costs only £150. It's not that expensive, and the test is not that difficult. If at all, just go and do the test again, and then we can proceed on that basis, so that when it goes, it leaves no doubt, and we can then do what? We can then push the case through. So that is what I will say, that is what I would do. So by all means, that is how it is. So the English test certificate, in theory, you can use it again, but Home Office, there's a bit of confusion, and sometimes, you know, it can mess people up, or it can delay the application process. Now it's exactly 12:20. Let's take commercial break, and then when we come back, we go to the second segment of the program.
Medafo, Uyamanka, wow, dine papa be our Ghana, and so a nam no cry asantino, who send ya wubet manisika, say yes, what you mount. It's in a paradise city. Ya did this beautiful ultramodern city, Upper Tema, Community 25, Whooper Standard, Executive, Semi-Executive Quality Buildings, Yeni Paradise City, Yewa Home, it says ye dear brochure Abagana, ye payment terms no so, and a phone book call, who penny self finance. And as a mortgage for Paradise City. Away your telephone number, so UK +447 908 475 802. Paradise City. Ye Juma pa Magana yefe ankasa.
Nyame adomboko nyame ko say nyame de so onim party na la so be fa me ko e abaya bi ekohia nsa abaya se menya ni nkrata ma no and again ti o na wusia be ma party ase ya so nya nkrata ma ojam am so bi bopu ni me de me no hu ya we di wasa bom bi mo e be fi kese mfu kote to kro ni
ejawo
ko unye da unye na ebofu me yakoma atu
na dan majira preti abom na dada na mpezum bebi
what you yakoma ni nsu nyina yef ho because if kese mfu
na ada moti ha mo ho ntwa na moda so tv ha
na o ni me maka nchiro e na unye so okoye nkata ma obi o mi de mi so oyo okekura
yo mesremo pi ewi ase de obi e no ho tiri for asempa kodo enemre mu nso de obi e no ho betena ho amma ta bada ho so owon kame enu ntimi srew se banka ta asem ko ade a na se wuni krata wo krom ha na wuhia nkrata mesrew adwuma ba ko pe e na mekan for amount enu ane justice and law solicitors lawyer ye fe no openta ku David ho e na owo ne ba immigration sem landlords and tenants family legal documents civil litigation wills and employment issues ni nyina papa yi odi hu djuma e wo ho na mesra mo maba betu mu ne ya meka tire mu mo mfa mo maboso mo tom
na wo kan papa yi otimi akonto kwa nyina ma ye se bia obi agi usika so on be so betia no so otimi ye ko adwum
ni nyina lawyer benda akudi ni nyina hu djuma na ne aye mani ka awon ho ne se wo ye ntokotwan se ba mra mu dia so waje wasem ne so onwie ya papa yi onyini sa emfrase
pacho hefa no azena so wo no
yo me pacho obehunu justice and law for ewo unit 35 Eurolink Business Center 49 Efra Road Brixton SW2 1BZ na the telephone number any 02077385841 and I say the mobile number 07538969589 Miss Row and then they said the immigration for senior brew krumhano share and one traho ama and for now quiet it's the free no crudie found kata some nyina ekwadai justice and law solicitors
ojam also so tinubu de we nyina ho na de asi afa o ma ye de adafo ba ku ikofi
enye hwe mpanisi uru finance akofa ba yenti enam say lawyer benda ko afa to no ho so say obeboa yen Ghana for titiri wunti memne da bia e free anopadu ba ko ekobo awia donko lawyer etna afidia eye fire life radio so exetre memrem ewo ho enti e free memne da e be ne memne da aka bia na for afidie ne to fire life radio na tie lawyer ene emrem nsem ewo ho ti free na radio justice and law solicitors aha ne e be pro
Amway a company kesiye a omode niyama pa abedwa so omo niyama ni bi ye health products, beauty products and a home care product. Omo health products ni bi ye vitamins and as a food supplement. Beauty products ni bi enso omo wo enku anase mna ebema wo honam atoso already atoso sen no omo home care products ni bi samena yedi huhuru nkukuo mu ni yedi twitwi adwaye en emu de ye wo pe bia no ubetimi enya bi ewo Amway se ope emu nsematie anase wo pe bia to a yesre se frɛ owura Emmanuel Eshon ewo 075 076 30487 075 076 30487 and also so say abelfo amansanten tan kese no so ubekunu o machira kwan ewo www.amway.co.uk/user/ms na ofre owura Emmanuel Eshon and also so say wotons ansa eko amansanten tan kese no so wo website no so a omuni ubedi nkita ho fefefe eno na owura Emmanuel Eshon beka cho say ende na onanyen Amway
and they're not enanyan indeed. Right now let's look at Zambrano update and what is happening and what people should expect. Last year, the Justice and Law Solicitors, we made it very, very clear that the Zambrano trap, people should be very, very careful on the basis that there is a gap in law, we call it the lacuna, where the law is not very clear as to what should happen upon an occurrence of certain events. Now, let's go back to the history. Let me just give a summary. Maybe someone is just joining us and the person may not be aware of Zambrano. Zambrano is a law that was formulated outside the EU regulations, but closer to the EU regulations, on the basis that if you are a primary carer of European Union citizen, and you yourself, you don't have any other means to remain in a host country, then of course the host country should grant you some sort of visa for you to be able to stay in EU country and look after your children. Okay. And this case concerned an EU child. So for example, if you are British national and say you are living in Germany, this is when we're in the European Union, and one of the parents does not have any papers, any status, and she is also in Germany, and you as the father who is British decide to come back to the UK, and you leave your partner or the child's mother and the child in Germany. Since the child is British national living in Germany and going to school in Germany, the mother who does not have papers and who is non-EU national, in that instance, will need a paper to stay in Germany and look after her British child. And on that basis, the European Union created what we call the derivative right. So it's a right that derived from the European Union. So it wasn't part of the European Union law per se, but it derivative rights. So it comes from the European Union law. You know, when you are deriving something from something. So basically that's what it is. So they created a new law, if you like. It was judicial creation, where they call it the derivative rights. And it was linked to the European Union regulations. So the law was created that if you are a carer of a union citizen child, and you don't have any other means of living in that country, then they have to grant you something called derivative right, which was valid for 5 years. And from the beginning, the agreement was that your presence there was to look after the child, and therefore it will not lead to indefinite. That was the law. So we applied for some people, they got 5 years, and since it was not leading to indefinite, at some point they switched to human rights, and then they switched back again, that now you can now apply for indefinite. There has been changes and all that. But UK position has always been this. Since the law derived from European regulations, and the law says that if you do not have any other means to stay in the host country, then you will not qualify for derivative right. You can only qualify if you don't have any other means. So UK position has always been like this. Before you can be granted Zambrano visa, you have to have applied for human rights application, and that application has been refused before you can apply for derivative visa. Why is that the case? Because the law says that you must not have any other means to remain in the host country. So Home Office argument was that since there is another means, i.e. you can apply and actually get a visa under human rights, if you don't apply for that first, then you cannot apply and be successful in applying for derivative visa under the principles of Zambrano. So it's been like this, and this fight has been ongoing for some time. So now, you cannot apply for derivative visa unless your human rights application has been refused. So many people have done this and they were refused. Some people have done it and they were not successful. Let's look at this. Some people did it, they were not successful. And we have battled the Home Office in and out, in and out, in and out. And it's been an uncertain area of law even up to now. So now, 2021, there is a lady called Akinsenya who took the case to the High Court and argued that even though she's been granted 2.5 years visa, it is unfair and unjust that she's not able to apply for derivative visa under the principles of Zambrano. She did the application, Home Office refused the application. Why did the Home Office refuse the application? Because Home Office argued that there are other means in which they could actually do what she could actually live in the UK and look after her British children. So that was the Home Office argument. And basically, Home Office refused the application. The question that people are also asking is this. If you have 2.5 years visa, why do you feel that there is a need to apply for another visa under the principles of Zambrano? The difference is that with the Zambrano visa, you can claim any benefit that you want. But with 2.5 years visa, you cannot claim automatic benefit unless you also make an application for the removal of the restrictions so that you can claim benefit. That's what it is. That was how it was. So, Akinsenya applied, the application was refused. Akinsenya appealed, and Akinsenya's argument was that under the EU settlement scheme, visa process that has been introduced, it only says that if you have indefinite, then you cannot apply. And since she's got limited leave, then she's entitled to apply. Home Office thought, hold on, what is going on here? And when they look at the rules, that is how they've written it. So Akinsenya went to court, Akinsenya won, Home Office appealed, Home Office won, and then became 1-1. And then they had to go to sudden death, Court of Appeal. And the Court of Appeal is draw. Because the judges simply said, well, it's up to the Home Office to decide what they want. So Home Office went back and still told Akinsenya, sorry, we have amended the rules. Now, even if you have 2.5 years, if you have certain type of leave, you cannot apply under the principles of Zambrano, under the settlement scheme, as long as you have another means in which you could actually stay in the United Kingdom. So Home Office have changed their rules and they have stuck to their guns. And now the implication is that if you have submitted an application as a carer of a British child with the hope that you are going to be granted indefinite and you are waiting for a decision, I am telling you today, you better start thinking, because they have actually started refusing people on the basis that the Home Office have not recognized them in the past as a Zambrano carers, and therefore they don't qualify for indefinite leave to remain under the withdrawal agreement and under the settlement scheme regime. So now, people are getting refused. I remember someone came to me and the person was so rude. She went somewhere else, she messed up. She came to us for us to help her, and all the frustration, she thought she can just blank out her frustration on us. But with justice and law, we respect people, but we will not take rudery from nobody. And as a result, you have to let the person go. Not that we don't want business, but we don't want unnecessary stress. And what I say is this. If you have an application pending, and you know you have not been granted the Zambrano visa from the first place, the chances are that your application is going to be refused. Get yourself ready. Now, this person, what happened to her? She had 2.5 years visa. Zambrano is free. You don't have to pay any school fee, any fees. And you can apply for any benefit that you want. That is what the person was thinking about. Free lunch in the Babylon. It doesn't happen. So the person applied. And the lawyer too, I don't know why. he did not tell the person, look, be very careful. Because when we were advising on here, we told people that your 2.5 years visa, make sure that it's in your pocket. Don't allow it to expire before you apply for the Zambrano visa, even if you think you're going to try your luck because of the confusion that was going on last year. I told people that even if you are going to take the risk, please make sure your 2.5 years visa is still valid at all times. And even if it's about to expire, do another application to extend it, because Home Office made a provision that if you have a Zambrano application pending, you can still do other applications. This is the advice that we give to people. But some people don't listen. They don't want to pay nothing. They want everything for free. And therefore, they decided to take 100% risk. Now, these applications are getting refused. You know, sometimes, you know, people will say some lawyers are interested in monies. That may well be the case. But some lawyers too are not interested in monies. They will tell you the truth. And sometimes people don't want the truth. As I speak to you, someone came to me with the same thing. I told the person. The person was not listening. Before I know, the person has paid my fees into my account, rushing me to submit the application. It came to a point, I told the person, do you know something? This application is not going to be successful. I am not going to submit the application. I am happy to refund your money to you. And that is exactly what I did. Today, the person is thanking me because his wife's friends who did the same application, they have been refused. Now it shows credibility, it shows integrity. Because at the end of the day, if I had taken the money and his application had been refused, despite all the warning that was given him, being a human being, human nature, very few people will stay with the truth. He's going to turn around and say that I've taken his money, the application was not successful. But all the warning signs that was given, the person will not tell people when they are gossiping about lawyers. So sometimes it can both ways. Some people will never listen. You give them the advice, you know, because it's not what they want to hear. They will rather listen to sounds, Gombe, but they don't want to listen to hardcore facts, the truth. And sometimes it's very difficult for lawyers as well. And some lawyers are weak, yes. They allow their clients to push them. But it will never work. I respect my integrity so much that no amount of money can compromise me in any way or shape or form. A boy from Ashtown, I was not given any hope. I'm not going to throw it away for nobody. That's why I say D to the power of 2. Ashtown Abrantie, I don't joke with my qualifications and my reputations. It's hard earned, and therefore me, I don't joke with it. You see, so that's how it is. So I resisted the temptation of just putting in an application, and I'm glad that I did, because if you don't, you know, it's very easy for people to just bring you down. It takes money to name a child, but it costs nothing to damage someone's reputation. Put this in your mind, because it's very, very important. And when you are making decisions, think about these things, because it helps you to stick to your ground. So that's how it is. So now, Zambrano application, people are getting refused, and the refusals is just gonna go skyrocketing, because some people gambled and putting all their eggs in one basket, and now they are paying the price. And the sad thing that I have seen is where people have gambled 100%. They have put all their faith with the hope that they will get indefinite leave because of Akinsenya. Akinsenya was there to give you hope, but that was in the law. And I said this on here. And I have persuaded a lot of people, and I hope that the stuff that I said, it persuaded a lot of people not to put their eggs in one basket. Now the refusal letters are coming out. And the sad thing is, I've seen people losing their jobs. I have seen people losing their benefits. Because one case have just come before me. This is a single parent of 2 children. She had 2.5 years visa with recourse to public funds. The question that I asked myself, what was going through her head? What was the rush to get indefinite leave to remain? knowing well that the Zambrano application and the Akinsenya principles was not a certain area of law, was an area that was, was changing every minute, and taking that risk. The person put in the application, even though at the time the person had 2.5 years visa, which she has spent about nearly 2 years of that visa. The person was claiming benefit, okay, because she claims to be a single parent. And for me, it would have been sensible for the person simply to just stay where she was and wait until such time that there was certainty in regards to this Zambrano application, that the case of Akinsenya was about to open the floodgates. But because of greed, I will call a spade a spade. It's because of greed. Some people decided that I don't care, I'm going to be so greedy, I will not apply maybe common sense. Some people may have acted out of ignorance, no doubt about that. And some people may have gone to wrong legal advisors who may not have perhaps explained, the details and what was actually happening on the field. But some people too, because of greed, we must not rule that out. We have to call spade a spade, not a garden tool. And therefore, they find themselves into this situation. They find themselves in this predicament. So now, the application has been refused after a year of sitting there. Now, the 2.5 years visa that the person was holding, the person did not bother to renew it. So that one too is dead. Now, the person's application for Zambrano has been refused. The person has been given the right of an appeal. And I told the person, sorry, since you did not have a derivative right visa, Home Office policy is that you should not be given indefinite leave to remain under the settlement and pre-settlement scheme regime. And therefore, even if you appeal, as the law stands today, the appeal will not be successful. The person watched my face and she was in tears. It is the truth. I will not regret telling the truth. If the truth is going to hit your emotions for you to cry, so be it. The truth is the truth. There is nothing that I can do about the truth, because it's nothing but the truth. Simply, that's it. There is nothing that I can do about the truth. Regardless of how you want to twist the truth will remain the same. No matter where you go in the world, the truth does not change. No matter who you ask, as long as the person will stick and tell the truth will always be the truth. Scientific facts and truth. We all know that the sun starts from the west and then sets at the east. Go to Ghana, the same rules will apply. Go to Jalalabad, the same rules will apply. Go to space, the same rules will apply. It's a fact that where there is an action, there is equal reaction. Go to Jalalabad, that is the rule, that is a fact, scientific fact. Go to Zimbabwe, that is scientific fact. Go to Ashton, that is a scientific fact. Anywhere that you go, a fact remains the same. So unfortunately, I had to break the news. The person has now lost out on benefit. For whatever reason, as soon as he got a refusal, the benefit people started hounding her. Now, housing benefit that she's receiving, that has been cut. The job that she was doing, the job too, they've asked for permission to work, she cannot produce it. She's asking me, Lawyer Darkon, what am I going to do? I said, well, the only thing is, go back to the queue. You have to go back to the queue. You have to start all over again. Your child is British, you have to go and rely on the child and then apply for another 2.5 years visa. You are very lucky that the Home Office have now opened up and now they are doing express service. You will not have to go and borrow money, look for the money, let me do express service, book appointment for you as fast as possible. And we know that to get appointment to do fingerprint, these days, if you are not lucky, you have to buy it as well. So I had to quickly do everything for this woman, express, in order to be able to get back to her feet. So all that I say is, if you know someone, you have a friend, a family member, who has applied under the principles of Zambrano, and this family member is waiting for a decision, and she has not previously been granted a derivative right visa, but was hoping to get indefinite leave to remain, I say she better start thinking again. If her visa under human right is still pending, or the visa is still, what do we call it? The visa is still valid, he or she should make sure that it doesn't expire. And before it expires, she should then apply for extension under human rights. Because if he sits there for that visa to expire, and still Home Office have not made a decision under the principles of Zambrano, sooner or later he's going to get a refusal decision. And if the human right visa has expired, he's going to be overstayer, and that could have serious implications for her. So for that reason that I decided to talk about this today. So please share this program so that you can also save a brother or a sister's bacon. Because if not, what is happening to people, the same thing is going to happen to someone that you know, your partner, a loved one, and a dear one. So that is what I have for you today. We are going to open up the telephone lines and take some telephone calls. So bear with me, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Let's just take this tune and we will then activate the telephone lines. If you have joined us, this program is brought to you by Justice and Law Solicitors. We are based at Unit 35B 49 Efra Road, Brixton, London, SW2 1BZ. Also, our telephone number is 0207 993 5976. Our emergency telephone number is 07538 969 589. We work from Monday to Fridays. Saturdays is special appointment only. So we don't work on Saturdays, but people who have serious issues that want to come and see us, we have allocated time that we can see those people. If it's not serious, we cannot see you on Saturday, because sometimes people are singers. They will just come and waste your time and sing songs to you. That day is not for you. It's for serious business on Saturdays. People who actually need our help, people facing deportations, people whose visas has been refused and they have deadlines to meet. Those are the people that we reserve Saturdays for. Saturday is for serious business, not for time wasters. So please, don't take me wrong, because some people, if you give them the chance, they will come and waste your time. All that they come to do is to talk. They think that we've got nothing to do. And after that, when you ask them for consultation, they think I paid consultation 10 years ago. Why should I pay again? The same person will go to work and get paid every day for the hours that he does. But he doesn't want to understand that when he came 10 years ago, we spent an hour on him. And when he's coming today, we are going to spend an hour on him. And therefore, we are also entitled to charge for the hour that we spend. So those people, don't come and waste our time on Saturdays in particular. we don't have time for you on Saturdays, because Saturdays is for serious business alone. Those people who actually need help, those people who are desperate, those people who are in serious need, those is reserved for those people. And you need to book in advance and book an appointment. The job that we do, sometimes it baffles me. You know, our success rate is, you know, Koku Zigzagging will testify, and I know that he's put it there already, you know, almost 100%, because we do things the right way, and we do it from the heart, and through the Spirit of the Most High, we will continue to deliver for you and for your family and for your friends, and for all those that you refer to us. I always say this, we will always ensure that your referral is justified in so many different ways. We thank you for all your support over the years.
Yay, dada, kawa, kuma, tu, yeah. Odi, yasem, faye, dada, kawa, kuma, tu, yeah. Chitrana wasanyo so ra me famu nyina na me ayi me free ni nyinem wonso dia wonamuno obetumi ayi wa
Fire Life Radio, Ajandem. Fire Life Radio, Ajandem.
Nobody was alone. Oda yenti so boni for no chitra. Sunny and so me famu mina namde bama bayi and so me famu mina namde bama bayi dear Samayada okay Samayada Oda yentina Odia Samayada Dia Samayada Oda Samayada Oda yentina Odia Samayada Odia Samayada Odia Samayada
That's right. Yes, if you want to call the program, the number is 07538969589 for all your legal questions. This is the time to call. After the show, we bring everything to an end. If you call me and want to ask a question, it will be too late. So if you want to call, you have any question about what we've spoken about today, feel free. If you have any immigration issues, any immigration question, something is bothering you, you know, this is a platform for you. Call the program now, right now. We are here to answer your telephone calls. Maybe you may have family law issue. Someone is stopping you from seeing your child, and you want advice how to go about in getting, an order, by all means, you can also call us. Also, if you have, landlord and tenant issue, whatnot, by all means, you can also call in. And somebody texted me, okay, if you are watching me, and also you have, of late we are doing a lot of work for the tier 2 visas, healthcare professionals. Somebody just texted me, I believe that he's also watching the program. Yes, okay, that's fine. I will call you after the show, and we will then take it from there. Okay, that is fine. Somebody just texted me, sorry about this. And he's also watching the program. I will call you, I promise you, I will call you today, and we will finalize it. I've got some stuff from you, which I will also discuss to you about. Now, if you want to call in, the number is 07538 969 you can call us straight away. And if you have any question at all relating to UK immigration law, then by all means get in touch. Call this line. The time is your time to ask any question that you may wish. Once again, today we spoke about we covered different areas: the English test certificate, how to use it to qualify, the exemptions. We've also spoken about Zambrano, the tipping bomb. I'll call it the tipping bomb, because at the moment some people think that they qualify and they are put in an application. I will say to you, if you have not been granted a derivative right visa, you have not been recognized as someone who is a Zambrano carer, and you put in an application under the settlement scheme for indefinite, you have to realize that it's very likely that your application will be refused. So you need to be very, very careful. Also, we've spoken about a bit about Ghana, issues that have come before me. I know I did say that I'll be doing a show very soon. I'm working it out, the format of the show, where people will be given a platform to share their experience about land issues in Ghana, and how certain crooks have taken their monies, and the difficulties and the challenges that they face. Because sometimes people live in Ghana and they say that there is no work. You try and establish work there, the same people will mess you about. And therefore, if someone has got an investment, the person is going to desire even to set up any company or business in Ghana. Not because of anything, because if they realize that you are a Ghanaian, they want to take liberties out of you. Unfortunately, it's part of the mental slavery where people do not appreciate their own, and therefore for me, there's going to be a program on Fire Life Radio where we will explore, some of these difficulties and how people are addressing these difficulties, how they have managed to overcome these difficulties. And also it will serve as a warning to those people who are yet to embark on journeys, and some of the things that they have to be aware of, and some of the things that they should put in place so that they don't find themselves in any mess, because at the end of the day, you have to learn from someone. And if someone has had a bad experience and the person shared that experience, like they say, a wise man learns from others, but a fool will learn from his own mistakes. So if that's happened to someone, a person is sharing the experience and how he overcame it, or how he was unable to overcome it, then we listeners will also be able to take a cue from the person's experience, and we will make sure that when we are having any deals in Ghana, we put the measures in place. One thing that I will say, if you are dealing with anyone in any situation, please stop religion. Don't bring religion into business. I always say this to people. If you are dealing with anyone, don't bring relationship, family into business. Business is business, strictly business and nothing else. Don't let someone say, I'm a Christian and therefore this, I'm a Muslim and therefore this. Don't allow anyone to use their religious complexities to influence you in any shape or form. Because at the end of the day, Judas was one of the 12 disciples, if I'm not mistaken. Yet, he was able to betray Jesus Christ. So that is a pinnacle, it's a warning to mankind. So it's something that we have to be very, very aware of and be very, very careful. If you're doing a business, make sure that you put certain things in place. If possible, get lawyers involved. Let them draft a contract so that in the future, someone doesn't turn around to say something else. You know, because many a times in Ghana, when people are doing deals, it's direct deals where they will simply say, you know, oh, trust me, trust me. Trust nobody when it comes to business transactions. Anyway, we got our first caller. Let's go on. Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon, Lawyer.
Good afternoon to you. Pacho Dine said Nakasa Free.
From Nana Kusia, Mikasa London.
Nana Kusia from London. Nana Yonkwe. Nana Kusia.
Yeah, but Pacho, some bizarre questions. One say, exams, no, as a B1, no. Yeah, me the year indefinite, no. Me in January 2001. And in this way, no, some person me British book, no, Marcha. Because say 2 years, it valid for 2 years.
That's right.
And that means, can I use it? And I mean to me, you see.
And oh yeah, test no 2021.
21 January.
Okay.
Yes, see, I'm a certificate.
Yeah. And therefore, OSHA rule 27 now. And you're very clear, say, what you sooner in the past, you know, you should be able to use it again to meet the English requirement.
Oh, okay then.
But
okay,
Home
then.
Office, this is where the problem comes in. Some of them sitting there, they don't even know the rules. And therefore, when you send it, they would then have the cheek to come back and say, your English test is more than 2 years, and therefore, it's not acceptable. But the condition in it say, so what you saw in the previous application, na say application na a year successful. Na say omoji to mudia, then you should be able to use it again. But sometimes the caseworkers, either they don't understand or whether I don't understand, they will simply come back to you and say that, well, your English test is more than 2 years, and for that reason, it's out of date. If you don't bring another one within 10 days, I will refuse you. And then it puts unnecessary pressure on the client. From legal point of view, I could argue and win it in the end. Okay. But if they make a mistake and refuse you, then you have to go through the court to get it resolved. The stress involved, the money involved, and the lawyer's fee that you are going to pay the day that you take off to all this madness. I always tell people, look, to avoid all this ridiculousness, just do another one, give it to them, get your decision and go.
Okay, yes, answer the next by January now.
And yes, also they are now, I will say, auditum by January. But what I will say is, once the time is up, and you apply, and you get it, and you get out of the way. So, possibly,
okay.
So what the tune before said they are testing technically, Omeka say it's over 2 years, and therefore it's no longer valid. Even though Rule 27 says that it may not be valid in the sense that it's valid for 2 years, but the fact that it has been used in a successful previous application and it was accepted, then the Home Office must also accept it for future applications. They are so confused. I have battled them. One case, they insisted that my client does it and she had to go and do it. Another case, when I pointed it out, the caseworker saw the mistake and gave it. Last week, one case came through where someone is over the age, the person is 81 years of age. They still wrote back to say that you have applied for your client for indefinite leave to remain on the basis of 10 years lawful stay in the United Kingdom under paragraph 276B of the immigration rules. However, we have noted that you have not provided English language test and the life in the UK test. Without this evidence, I'm going to refuse the application. I'm giving you 2 weeks to provide this evidence. If not, I'll make a decision based on the information that I have. I look at this, I say, hold on, the person is 81. You know, and then to be honest, I did not even tell the client because I didn't want the client to panic. You know, so straight away, I printed out their own guidance notes to caseworkers. And I used red pen to highlight it. Yes, highlight it. And after that, I scanned it. I hope that the person will not be offended. But if you cannot, if you cannot see,
I'll scan it and I'll highlight it for you. That's
exactly. So I sent it back, and then the person just granted, and I could see that the person wasn't happy with me, you know. Okay. But I had to make it clear as a daylight so that he doesn't go and make any mistake for an 81-year-old to go through the court system. You see the point? So I'm thankful.
Don't they look at the age? It's just
Because I think the person did not realize that there are exemptions for people under 18 and for those over 65. You see the point? So in his mind, in order to get indefinite, you must to pass the life in the UK test. You have to pass the English test. So he's ticking the boxes without using common sense. And sometimes that is where you need to come out of the law books. You need to come out of the box and use home sense. You know, and sometimes when people don't use home sense, this is what happens.
And see, let me ask a silly question. So even this is January. So even if we send it by 31st January, the English test is still valid, isn't it?
When is it expiring? What date?
It says I did it January 2021.
Okay, January. What was the date?
There's no date. It just said January 20. The date says January 2021. It didn't specific date.
So when did you actually sit the test?
Okay, I think sorry. I mean the date. You say it expires in February. I've seen something here. Let me see. Oh, I think my eyesight is deceiving me.
There should
because the certificate was issued February 2021.
Okay, so February 2021, and you submit it on 31st of January 2023. It's still within 2 years.
So it's still valid.
It's still valid, yes.
Okay, then that's fine. Then I think I'll come and do it in January.
Yes, no problem. So we can do it that way, so that it doesn't lead to any argument as to.
No, I think I'll bring it exactly in January so that they won't say it, because that means it expires in February. So that's fine.
Yes.
February, they didn't put any date, so that means a bit to me any time in February.
Any time before February.
Anytime before February.
Yeah, because for example, if you submit the application on 1st of February, a nasty caseworker will say that you have submitted it after 2 years.
Okay, so even with the back 25th January, last year the Kokra still now it's valid.
It's valid, yes.
Okay, then that's what I want to know. Let me go so somebody else will come.
Yes.
Thank you, lawyer.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.
So opese ofra osubetimi afre number no still 07538 96959. Hello.
My back post office, but almost a letter from the home office. And you know, if I told me for one and Kasawai.
Oh, the Mehudo more passion. We are live on air. And you don't worry, mess out in the outer. Or Mehudo patcher.
Oh, your patcher.
Mehudo patcher. Sometimes it happens like that.
Oh, okay. So you're underage.
Aye. Sometimes it happens like that. Sometimes you come them straight away. If you also so I come to just a home office, I'm a permission answer. And you don't worry, me who do actually no.
Okay.
Why?
Okay.
Now I'm not giving some doc. I do not worry. Who the moon coffee, no something out of mouth. Why?
Maybe I show you. Okay. Actually, Miss Abba had here, but one from my
yes.
Some person will know Cassans will be to the work.
There be Metiasi, there's no point. Why? They all can instructions are home office for their man. And you also only this instructions.
Yeah.
And you don't worry, there is a former medical home office. Mede form the come home, omo do din be share forms dey so. No ma send me email. Na me dey abro, na dey akwa akwaji. Why?
Me patch you mate.
It's a big deal. Miss me da CP. Bye bye. Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Lawyer One.
Yes, Nampacho, one ekase.
Yeah. Me pacho, your friend Jonas.
Jonas, na kase free.
Jonas, me kase free UK, Ebomuo.
Enye, will ne yam.
That's a kunkoso. Wait there. Me pacho, naka me pese me ketwi pa na sister ba ko no ba no akabro form me kwando.
Sir.
Ntina ho se no so metimi ka bie.
Ketwi wa, we dey ya Ghana for ketwi dey free.
Oh, Salmon.
So the akabro for so dia.
Half bro for half tree.
Yeah, from.
Okay. And first of all, I just want to say a very big thank you. When I attended to your office, you actually did give me a big welcome, and it was a very pleasure to me. And I must say that I was so glad. So once again, thank you once again. Yeah. So then back to the business. So actually. After your program, I'll call you back the door, and then we have a few conversation with you.
Okay.
And yes, and then also, me person a boss lady bakope me chia me pa positive. And no heneba. Na me ka kire amafo nyina Ghana fo nyina so se obia enka lawyer bako enho asem enche na busuafo ne na dofo no nyina na okonso a obeti ani mahwe kama fe kama ama wa ufiri ho adansi die bebo ano ama wonya biaka na obeje ofeso nso emwa support bia wo hia nyesa wo ye nia wonim ne nia wonim nyina no obetini ato no boase na wa kyerɛkyerɛw kama na wo de bibia atotoye na wonso no nia wo hwehwɛ no wonso no abamu ama wonso abrabɔ nso atimi akonkan ama ntina ndibesia edase.
Yes, so yeah, that was it. And our boss lady or Heneba positive, any far life with Busia Funi in us so Omutiu, Omati DJ Mahama, Omina, Omoshaho, Omati.
I with me pacho, a lawyer one, me pacho, Minion Justice over Japan, Michiano Sabre, and my free Mukakra, and Tememane Yako.
Anyway, the justice, Yina Yama Yako, Nashabi so Yamio. Mubeni de nyamene de nyamene eji na ebiase ne de saa na tie ye ba ya yamada krope ebi be ko ejebi enti hye enkoja so enti bibiase na wa ma yaso ate na eja ya ja kwan kama saa na tie
inshallah
yes ya da CP.
Okay, bye.
Hello. Hi, good afternoon. Pacho Dini Senaka Sefree.
Yeah, Pacho Francisca from Clapham.
Francisca Clapham. Francisca kwan etimi abo baby a wo free. Wo akukudro Francisca yonko.
The Pacho me person me be me indefinitely stay with you. But me person me who say come up is for exempt to me from B1 because my disabled kakra. My mama doctor, my mama exemption certificate on B1, but me and my life in the UK needed that.
Okay, I mean, by all means, say when you're lawyer, when you're doctor, no, I'm out exemption now. Obetini use a plead for the exemption. Now, me your home officer from information at the buy me imagine be me say time ben we have challenges no estate and a time ben utimi life in the UK no. They will do this analysis.
2019.
Oh, okay. And a life in the UK no yenda be.
Oh, any day my
da. Okay, yes. I mean, the doctor no everything am exemption certificate now by all means.
So me first contact now my exemption certificate on it.
Yeah, by all means, ubetimi. One thing so ubetimi I can say English test no is the easiest one. And yet, but that is what I would prefer because home office for say no masha say Dr. Crutcher omo person beji atu. Omo ye difficult. Though legally, you bet you know much. But I am not stress of so no baking. Sometimes when you get testing a peace of mind. I'm not testing, to be honest with you, and yet text me number, or text me number, may send the example abro. Example. Would you what would you know they can bro for there you be one or crab because what?
Yeah. It's my friend way for you and for and almost say almost Betty Asham my year no. I won't be pay.
Oh, and a simple crab. Me only why? Me only a simple test. I'm sure a boy made the bema will be able to cast a sabi no so pay. So ain't you know, oh dear chill from me, Francisca from Clapham, no abo. Number so
we bread yamude share a party for lunch.
Okay, the Matthias. Okay, no problem. Okay, Edwasipi.
Okay, right.
Francisca from Clapham, Yediamija.
Okay, right.
Okay. Mona mo fra na muntimi nwura mu nyina mbetimi afra me hyɛ mu pii. Eme sɛ amanfo pɛso mu nwura mpa na ekwan ne asi. Na emom empanimfo se sɛ akokɔ a ɔbɛ nini no ɔne na etimi we your friend is saying empanimkra me refi. Esa akokɔ a ɔbɛ nini no ɔne we abebesere. Saa so na unya ntoboase ekonzongo a ana unya TZ papa edi. Enti mo amofra ye ntimi amfa nyina na ehre mo mbetimi afre monkoso na monfre ye beje mo so. Hello. Good morning to you. Now pacho man e ka say
yo professor when you amofra ba ko pe kwabra ofori yo zina ka say
hey mami so twi kasa ba na dey say
ya dom jamna so pinti say akwa polo.
That's right.
Already baby I will be Michelle. Tiaronko.
That's right.
Busia for Michelle Bia or La Iswa Uti lawyer no pay. Na every as my 20 time and lesson no. I mean say they are what is in Panaba and Tim Permanent Mesako Bati. Na Masaba Copa and Pacific Credit and for the Darigana. Yemi I fra, your boy Abaso. And you know why am I bravo biao? And I say, then you penance because I mean, make a lawyer. And I say, Obia in the Vobis on your money. Not the one demanding here. Now, me, Jimmy Taban, Jimmy Savage, on the name of Bonabasso. I'm not crazy. But I was more dear, yeah, well, I have you Bonabasso because Nipano a dead our year bravo. That's a bad Naga Granny. So, wow, can also be voice in the whole world, and number one, and then the cat will cry. Intimidate, wow, can be okay. The Frecker, a dear lawyer, yeah, man, me ba, I become answer. She said, a dumb no, not. So the man come to time, now, man, for the Cassava, like I tell you, the Apotre. Say, the home of his back, begin with my head. Me, many crabs said, down from down, left your catches, but you had to request straight at them. I'm going to do that. And say, now I got 2 days to enter September. So see, I make a say, lawyer did application to me. So see, I make a say, the Biaba, I'm on a Biaba, Asaba, and Ramacho. And you may have said around 5 o'clock. Indeed, Miracle Beneche, we. Nipo be drivers of the September. Now October, maybe the higher team of the Biaba. Not just anybody, only a Dima or only the oil, the Ankaza. Into what I said, Bonabasso. And the one, Nana Wooty lawyer, and I said, home by Grandma lawyer. Now Wooty lawyer. Now I get on Dantanta. Now another. Obia introduce lawyer to you. Now, what do you say? Minkola, be an uncle lawyer. Binia. Ubala. Now they see the other culture. Obaswa, an intro. What's a sanity? Be a kind of credit lawyer or here. Okay, just open the background. Near the Okobo charge, the actual Uniba. I said, I said, I'm all that. Can you know? Control can be a web catcher by the piano. Can you say a lawyer? la be hwe on kwa be twa fa so be boa o chiro se fa A fa B se fa A fa B se A ni B ni anyone there's no rush ubenya abota to niema na wa gada bibia unya be belo ya se menya A anya B a media I bet you say no two ways on thank ade awe enti na sere wa wutie na wonfa wadam na ya na unyi adanse dia ye di ni bi no sere na obehu na kurewo tilo ya anapede abasubana me bawo ami adom ubi a oya we card number aduro nyimre 5 o'clock
oh ye de nyame ase ede nyame ase saa de tie ede nyame ase pa ese Jenny a o start here no nyankopon adom ana me de nyame ase ese yenya client ana se yenya nua bi to site sewo because obi o a utu ne fo no na odi unnecessary achieve so obeka say was na de na enye ni bi o kire ni mu a on beso obeti ase but ni nyina eye good na me de nyame ase ese Jenny ne so no bibia eko se de yesi anticipate no ene se de yesi pe no eda wase
mbacho before me ba no ba ko kam na bia to so lawyer sikasem minia se wodi awuni sika pra da botem se na wo hawa ko mu lawyer obi a ukona ka wasem che na ka no kure na di no kure a tini yo ukana kure na udi no kure a na sa uni sika kure la beti mabwa ni sikasem ni charge bibia kulem obeti no wakeka na so wadi so se de onere kan wa shero se mbo so bibia bo na no be se bo so bibia be se beto account ma la beti ma hwam
yes
enti me Saudi a uni sika kure na wo de ko ya na wodi no kure na wodi no kure nko a sikasem kure no
yes.
Yes,
yeah, that was it. Bye-bye. Hello, next caller.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon to you.
Hello,
hey, Mr. Kwame Peche, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
So what's going on, Mr. Kwame Peche?
We Kejua.
And this is where you
but we are Pada.
Hey,
I don't do that. Public.
I don't. What did you want?
Public, no size.
I say more.
No size.
Number two, what they can say. Hey, Kwame Peche, young boy. I didn't beat me. I am now. Now, Temps, will you go and they are no deal.
Yes, I stand up with the similar terms.
Yes, you boom.
Many of baby 2.5.
Yeah, me too.
And the last 1 year, I'm saying no bayano. Also in the English test now.
Okay, say why you the 4 times, sir?
Oh, I had 3 times. The last one, I have 4 times now.
And at this stage, in the on your life in the UK test, any English test, you know. And you know, this time, you know, obey your extension. Now we know as soon now NHS we try 10 years. And to 10 years now, and send one call ye indefinite. And when I obey your life in the UK test, any English test, you know. Why?
Until when the 4th one, we are 10 years, 9-10 years.
Exactly now, you're 10 years. And the 4th one, we and I shall see a prepare for life in the UK testing English testing. And this one money going too much.
The 4th one, you want ending up with the baby. I'm not qualified for independent.
That's right.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Peche. Okay. Hello?
Yeah, hello, lawyer.
Yes, sir. Now, Pacho Sudi is saying.
But the Ernest Quarantine.
Ernest Quarantine. I didn't bet me I am Mr. Quarantine.
I want to be praising.
Oh, and today I walk at TF4. Oma, enemies of progress now. Omo, M-Pension Petty, you know.
Yeah, enemies of progress will go against you, and the person will never succeed.
Whoa.
Yeah. You are doing a good job. You are doing a good job.
Fantastic.
Let me about say. Yeah, Matthias,
Okay, I don't know. I want my say maybe I didn't for happy for 2 weeks. Okay, I said I didn't go. That can be here, but we chairman me power because say man we are fast. I mean that they be together with you a week now. I dey go to my manager say if you have far. Each say ebi di bi achi. Na akoma pa ne wodi adwuma no koso afaya. Nyame be hira amana broso.
Me da wase. Yes so de hia ne mo mpai bo. Mo bo mpai a ne mabobi amaye na makaye.
Yes, ye ka papa.
Adwuma ye no. Eye owu adwuma.
Sanity.
Na aya na people don't realize.
Yeah.
And you be an beba officer. Open
Yeah.
Obi wa oba ho a opese do ko amaniem.
Yeah.
Obi wo so oba ho a opewuo. Obi wo so oba ho a opese wujija na wo say.
Yeah.
Enti no amanfo mpai bo a omo maye. I'm telling you, obitimi ba ohun mani ma no wa sorry no adwane.
Yes.
Sometimes I wonder why.
Yeah.
So and the Chelsea say bibi o baby.
You have a good heart.
That's
and
right.
You are a faithful guy. I just said, what did you cry?
That's right.
Oh, and until I'm Unyan Cosonantino, and I want your piece of where Wagadrin said, maybe poo, and answer me, you see, Caddy, will be quite the not twin yet. Oba catching the passer, draw the big twin yet, or catch the play or tear says, Utimin, Obeyas were bad. Oh, and until Ama. Yes, you record to I advert about.
That's right.
I had one. Now, be beside the about could be Menana no me, Ghana. About 29, about 27. Now, I'm a person I do, but I mean, Nim process, I'm a fast until.
Yeah.
Senka,
just through the adoption route. First, you were European Union, you know. Nanka ubetimi de omaba as your dependent grandchildren. But you say you free European Union nimu.
Yeah.
Enti no enya dia eho no ebeye adwuma biem. Nembom se wo adopt enkra no as your own children under Ghana adoption laws are. And there is a chance say cause wo adopt oma omba beye woma. Now wait me the omaba under that route. Enti sana basically ever hold me say.
Oh, okay.
Tina, you be doing come.
Medasi, wait na, am I pay wasem no. That's it, nyami tra why.
Okay, mune mumbo adwuma, ambulance for mumbo adwuma my. Share. Fire Life Radio, Justice and Law. Obi twa ambulance okra wo gya itie. Ate, mo de mo fa yeni agro. E de nyame ase, e da wase pa. Mwana mo fra mo ntimi anwure mu no mo so mbetimi idea afresisi a na ya famo na afi no ebo quarter past a di dwumadie no okay ya fa be 5 minutes in count ebo 35 past di dwumadie ne eba na wie mo fra mo ntimi anwure mu so mbetimi afre. Hello. Hi, good afternoon to you.
Afternoon, lawyer.
Nampacho din dey say.
Wa udini binamkuta dako.
Dako, okay, young quay. I say, what they be an answer for when you be saying. Okay, voice no good.
Okay, you know, your boy be massa auntie. And then you're resting a cry.
And you don't want to rest. Resting there very, very important.
Yes.
A tear for we are now bra, no John me, Sremo, Ghana for in stroke, Kruma, Menico whom be Friday. I nearly cried. Anybody boy juma day and night. And it's anybody that shut it down. Oh dear Juana bra. Forget money. Money is paper. Life is important than silver and gold. You're very careful. Now you take care about our health. It's very, very important. Ejada akoyanko.
I mean, I would that was in church. What did my then I'm say lawyers in big brain, but Umunya town no and my sir. So we can say free bone to Yadia EPS.
That's right.
Son of Yamin Shaw, no cost one sir. I would me could about 250 nibi. I may hear indefinite. The can be first week of May. first week of May next year. Now me busa say because me call Ghana December advisable.
Advisable in the sense that there's nothing stopping you from going. Right. You just have to make sure, say, you come back before your visa expires.
All right.
That is the only thing. Anna Obasosoa, you have to make sure, say, you put your application in before your visa expires. Yeah. No problem at all.
If not 250 now, but 250 now.
One stop.
One stop.
Yes. And you know, any big deal. And you know,
time when I met my year naturalization.
Once I can indefinite na ade change ya with me. So we the 10-year route in so. What British na say
British.
Oh, it's British. And you know, we prepare life in the UK test and so why are great. English test and also say we will be at level B1 great. Once I can indefinite now they change and now apply for your citizenship. Now I will say for you.
Very well.
Yeah.
In fact, from legal aspect, but normally our number of these be also part one thing. And also so I to say.
The one say okay, what it is, and they say you have be residential requirement for naturalization. Now, residential requirement, and they say oh, your application for naturalization, as at the date of the application, you know, you must not have spent more than 90 days outside the UK within the last 12 months.
12 months.
And it's your application, you know, for naturalization, or then find it's a March 2023. To March 2022, was spending more than 90 days outside the UK now. If the answer is no, then you tick the right box. Then they also look at the last 3 years. Have you spent more than 270 days outside the UK now? If the 270 days, because your wife is British. If the answer is no, that means you qualify for the residential test. So what's spending more than 90 days? Then why did you spend more than 90 days? Do you have very good reasons as to why you're spending more than 90 days? Until no more year, there are exemptions. My Mobi, the last year, no, or spending about 6 months, which is 180 days. The reason why anybody spending 180 days, they say anybody a businessman. And part of his business, he's got to be traveling all the time. And any panel a domiciled in the UK, he's paying his taxes and national insurance in the UK. So we were able to use that to plead exemption. I'm here, there are many panel. And for catching say but one thing I love about this country, I love this country because British phone be answer. Oye mrana, onye ni se quota ye dia show. Oya no di nyansa to o di nyansa kakra to won say fa ne se bibi nti ana nipa ni ntimi satisfy we ya eno so e enti akwese kromfo kwakọ wi ade o make sure say baby a wo fa no sa semba obetuna jampa for baby foforo enti British for the humanity enye no Britain for ube kromo na so weni anti forget it weni nti sha Britain for me my grandfather with the 118 say no as small catch me say upe broni a ono ani English ni broni omo maka ndi o meja wo sha English ni broni me fani ni agoro ti omo loss no omo ya no de kwan ato no
last 12 months in 90 days because we did 90 days
and it's already more than 90 days outside the UK
and last year since
270 last 3 years.
Oh, very well.
Why? And to say your application na yes calculations we nyina na aya na enkrofo enim obi also wako fill the form no or kwa na refuse no o se ni fiefo we efiefo ni ba bia e mistake no akwakoye sanity.
Oh, very well. Eti me Ghana and the program bi any ho but also me hwe say sa this no metima abantem
obetimi abantem na wa hwe say March na ade kwa count from March last year up to March 2023 no. They make sure say you have not spent more than 90 days which is 3 months outside the UK.
All right. Now, very well. Mr. Last one, temperature month being the first week of May. Month being near yard.
Nina any ubutum because unya G indefinite na no. Ade chen with me.
Me can indefinite in the crowd.
Oh, ebe me. I mean, what I was suggesting is say advice I'm giving my clients in and say sanka ebe ya 2 months before. Now I application, you know. I didn't na make us same way. Make us same way in the sense say home office guidelines nature say for application ebra 28 days before it expires. But the problem is say we application now to get appointment to do fingerprint, you know, it can take you 1 month. Until by the time I buy fingerprint, you know, you are within the 28 days. Not just a speedy name up amount.
Up for you.
Sanity. Where I dare in law school. 7 Yenyan and Anotina Cranty. If you answer, if you believe that's right.
Common sense.
Common sense. I don't know. Yeah, there was CP.
So that's it. My minion will be full for
bye bye.
Bye.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon.
But love, we say, a baby okay, say, never continue. Maybe the lawyer no name and I say we wouldn't need anything.
What I will say to anyone is say OJ okay say free lawyer be wha important say obe assess the situation, you know. Dentia ope say OJ free no. Me I the men can e wa fidie wait me frame e kire ne adi nkomo. Obi frame this week. Or see the case on lawyer ho ope say OJ free na bisa say dey be asem entia. Or see because ache. And when tia o and I'm saying na lawyer na church would the entia ache o say ani. Enti o kan story ni nyina no na che say enya lawyer ne fault. Eti na ehu hia kora say obesa akogide akoma lawyer foforo no asa charge uska. E wa bra ba ko na charge uska mo tua dada. Enti man advice is say
at me definitely a person me pay.
Or indefinite person yeah. Okay, I mean it be depend. Normally speaking, generally speaking, I will not need your file from the lawyer to do it. If you are able to, for example, remember data the be kromwa. Data with your two kind employment history, data with your certain applications. So what those basic information I don't need to get your file. I will be able to work straight away with you. But sometimes okay, a kromwa de me a solicitor, but Ghana me a barrister and a solicitor.
Okay.
Entina a kroma de yachim won't be a barrister and a solicitor or kroma, you have to choose one. But Ghana so de a fusion. Ghana we a barrister also a solicitor.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
okay, medasipi. Okay. Tiatia for say your tab na aye be. Enti bese di dwumadie no eba na wie next time e bese ahia biem. Enti meta obi biara se me bonnwum e de adamu nyina so mase for your continuous support. Nyame enka obia ho na onhyira obi biara. De da obi akoma so bia so no Nyankopon na emie kwan ma na onyema no. Justice and Law na mote yenkan lawyer David Darkon, Justice and Law. Yewo unit 35B 49 Efra Road, Brixton, London, SW21BZ. Your telephone number is 0207 993 5976. And answer ubitimi afrey 07538 589. O friend as way nyaya, what leave a message and I said text it and I send the audio. And repabe mano, ye bedie, ye be flow back. Ye juma way I had not adding, because sometimes we be winning now or na swan yeshi, now oh shena. Ana a very difficult. So besa answer telephone calls na sa ne enkrofo akasa. Intimacy P se wo fair office na se appointment na wo pair. Secretary efa wo dey book appointment. Oba be hume. Ye be hwe kama. Said ya eja Jonas efre ye no. Oba or travel all the way from Manchester. Oba enra na se minya time mano. Mene metena say for about 3.5 hours just to make sure say he is happy and he is satisfied. And I had to do that because sebe empening for say anoma e show won no so won faso esen enoma millionaire omugu bushi enti so bi se na daage na obetra manima was a mesumidi and nidi a many pano. Na me hwe nipa ne fe na enye fe sana etie se die nipa no soso ekwa obehu se ba wo bae no eso aba emfaso ayede ama no agya mpanimfo se tafre wo wi onya asa anko besa ama asase akasa ensoso aboa akoko nti osa enye yi ya da kuna mateme nka no ashtan abrantie double D to the power of 2 justice and law solicitors. Nyame ya adoma yebesai ehye biem next week. Lawyer 1 obi ani echi and obi ni anim. Obunuma nkoma osoro odapejan. Yene Nyankopon jamu nyina. Sana bravo de media kwa na bushe sene no mama mi ti so e fun Dano bi approach me ne kwa yae sana bi approach me soja ti de bushe mu o se bushe bi anye eso mi ti ame ko de bu no Papa you be here, you pay me as you want to send me a film. Say, me da. Jamesi will pray. Send me a Franco. Jamesi will pray. Send me a Franco. I know send me the dance and you offer this my records, Mamma Piao. And I'm just now, Mamma Slow. I was not to say, who said, the baby, if I see a bremas, to go to my bar, who don't know. I walk up one moon, proof where Jamie Smith for the world. Jamie Dow. I will be now. I will be now. I will be now. And I'm just now, Mamma Slow. I was not to say, who said, the baby, if you know. If I see a bremas, to go to my bar, who don't know. I walk up one moon, proof where Jamie Smith for the world. Jamie Dow. I will be now. I will be now. I will be now. I will be now. I am a boy, say, be a brother, I can say one woman, I would have been to come. Maybe I'm a boy, I am a boy, say, be a brother, I can say one woman, I would have been to come. I can't say why, I say why, we have been to come. We have been to come. If we are going to do say why, I'm doing good, Canada say why, because you are breaking. Yeah, but I'm not say why, you are doing good, I'm doing good, you are doing good, maybe I'm going to have a body say, if you are ready, I can't do a woman, you are doing good, for your breath, you are doing good, what you keep just saying, because you are there. I'm doing well, Monsieur. I'm doing well. Kings all over my Yankee London, London, Kings all I got into well, got into well. As you feel by my, got into well. Yes, I know. So see how life for job. Intimate me that. You want to a man I out there. Come on, I am. Maybe I am by a man say. Be a radio can say one woman. You are then doing good. I'm going to be my son. I'm going to go. I'm doing good. I brought you a magic way. Sana brabo de media kwa nesu na busu ense mi ehunu ye no mami buso me fun
This is